Have you ever noticed how the most repeated advice in the world is also the least examined? Everyone says it. Almost nobody asks why it actually works, or if it ever really did. Farid worked at a call center, answering the same 40 complaints on rotation, going home each night to an apartment that felt more like a waiting room than a life. He was 26 and certain something had to change. So when he came across video after video insisting that every successful person on Earth wakes at 5 a.m., he decided that was the missing piece. Discipline. That was all he needed. He built the ritual with the seriousness of a man defusing a bomb. Alarm at 4:55, cold shower, 10 pages of a book on productivity, 20 minutes journaling about the man he intended to become, a run before the sun came up. He tracked every day in an app and watched the streak climb, 40 days, then 60, and felt, for the first time in years, like he was finally doing something right. Nothing changed. His job stayed the same. His bank account stayed the same. He was more tired now, not less, and the tiredness made him snap at people he loved and resent the ones still asleep at 5 a.m., as if their rest were a personal insult to his effort. Some mornings he sat in his kitchen at 5:15, having already showered and read and journaled, staring at the wall, wondering what exactly he was supposed to feel by now. The only other person Farid saw at that hour was an old man named Yusuf, who unlocked the gate of the small neighborhood park every morning without fail. Farid ran past him for months, nodding, never stopping. But one morning, worn down and irritated, he finally stopped. "You've been doing this for how long?" Farid asked. 31 years, Yusuf said. "Then you must know the secret. Everyone says people like you, up before the world. That's where success comes from. What is it? What am I missing?" Yusuf looked at him for a long moment, the kind of look that isn't deciding whether to answer, but how much of the truth to give. "I don't have a secret," he said. "I have a wound." Farid didn't understand and said so. Yusuf sat down on the low wall beside the gate and told him. Decades ago, he explained, he hadn't been a gatekeeper. He'd built and run a construction firm that employed half the district at its peak. The kind of success people wrote about, the kind Farid's videos would have used as proof of the very theory Farid was chasing. And yes, Yusuf had woken at 5 a.m., back then too, but not for stillness, for strategy, emails before the world woke up, numbers before anyone could interrupt him. He had simply moved his hustle to an earlier hour, and the world, watching only the hour and not the man inside it, decided the hour was the cause of everything he built. "They praised the wrong thing," Yusuf said. "Nobody ever asked what I was actually doing in that hour. They just saw the clock and assumed the clock was the miracle." Then his wife had died, suddenly in her sleep, beside him, and for a long time after, Yusuf couldn't lie in that bed past 4 a.m. without the silence becoming unbearable. So he started walking to the park before dawn, not to build anything, not to optimize anything, just to not be alone with the sound of an empty house. The business eventually failed without him in it every waking hour. He let it. He took the gatekeeper job because it asked nothing of him except to open a lock once a day. At an hour, he was already awake anyway. So the secret of 5 a.m., Farid said slowly, is grief? No, Yusuf said. The secret is that the hour was never the point. Both times in my life, when I was building an empire, and now, when I'm just an old man with a set of keys, I was awake at the same hour. One version of me filled it with ambition. This version fills it with nothing at all. I water one tree. I watch the sky change color. Some mornings, I don't do a single useful thing, and it's the best hour of my day, because it's the only hour that doesn't belong to anyone's expectations. Not my employees, not my grief, not even my own ambition, which can be its own kind of tyrant if you let it run the clock. Farid sat with that longer than he expected to. "I journal every morning," he finally said quietly, "about the man I want to become." "For who?" Yusuf asked. Farid opened his mouth to answer and found he didn't have one. He thought about the streak counter, the videos he watched afterward to feel validated in his effort, the version of himself he was performing for, not present, not even really future, just imagined. An audience of no one watching a man who wasn't even really there yet. He realized, sitting on that wall, that he hadn't found stillness at all in 2 months of waking early. He'd just moved his exhaustion to a quieter hour where no one could see how hard he was still running. The next morning, Farid's alarm went off at 4:55, and for the first time, he didn't reach for his book or his journal. He walked to the park instead and sat with Yusuf while the old man watered his one tree, and neither of them said much of anything. It became a habit, not a routine, not a system, just a thing he did. Some mornings he still read, some mornings he still ran, but he stopped tracking it, stopped needing it to be evidence of anything. Years later, Yusuf grew too old to climb the small hill to the gate, and Farid, now a man with his own tired eyes and his own quiet mornings, took the keys without being asked. He opened that gate at 5 a.m. for a long time after that, long enough that a new generation of restless young people began jogging past him, nodding, never stopping, chasing the same secret he once had. One of them finally did stop. Years later, red-faced and impatient, and asked him the exact question he'd once asked Yusuf. "You've been doing this forever. What's the secret of 5 a.m.?" Farid smiled, the way Yusuf once had, and handed the young man the same quiet, unsatisfying, entirely true answer he'd spent years learning to believe. "There isn't one," he said. "There's just an hour. What you do with it is the only secret there ever was." And most people never even ask that question because they're too busy being proud of the hour itself.